Good evening and welcome to tonight's episode of the Angela Ray Show. I hope that you all have had a fabulous Taco Tuesday. I was supposed to cook tacos today. I didn't get around to cooking tacos. Maybe it'll be Taco Wednesday tomorrow, but hope that you all having a great day, great week. Many places around the country are in the midst of reopening. So I know some of you are back to work, but many of you are still staying home, staying inside as much as possible. Just like I am. So we're going to kick things off tonight with our Ray of Motivation moment, which is the perfect segue tonight to our special guest. He is a motivational speaker, he is an author, he is a coach, and I cannot wait for you all to get a taste of Mr. Keith L. Brown. But this evening, for our Ray of Motivation moment, I just want to remind you to stop asking for permission. Stop asking for permission. So last year, I was a special guest at an event. And when I arrived, through no fault of my own, probably through no fault of the organizer's own, the event was overcrowded. There were many people who showed up to the event who did not have reservations. They did not have an invitation. So by the time special guests like myself had arrived, all or at least most of the seats were taken. So I found myself, along with my invited guests, walking around from table to table, asking people, is this seat taken? Because around the room, there were several tables that had maybe one or two seats empty, but every table that I approached had an empty seat. And when I asked, I was told, this seat is taken. A few minutes later, walking around the room, I met another young lady who was a special invited guest, just like myself. And we struck up a conversation, found out that we were both in the entertainment industry. We both also did spoken word poetry. And she, along with her manager, were doing the same thing that I was doing, walking around from table to table, trying to find out if we could find a place to sit. And this went on for a while. And this was a black tie event. So I had on heels, I had on the dress, I had the jewelry, I was dressed to the nine. And, after a while, this young lady, this other actress, she walked up to a table that I had probably just approached maybe 10 minutes earlier and sat down. She didn't ask for permission. She didn't ask, was someone coming? She simply sat down. There was another seat beside her. And a couple of minutes later, her manager followed and she sat down. And what I saw was that they had a seat at that table for the entire awards ceremony. No one ever came up. No one ever asked them to move. Myself, on the other hand, eventually found a seat in the very back of the room. But what I learned from that moment, what I learned from that experience, what I learned from that night was to stop asking for permission. I've heard this saying that it's better to ask for forgiveness than permission. And I think that I saw firsthand, from firsthand experience that night, that was very true. Now, how do you take this and apply it to your life? There may be a project that you want to do. There may be a career change that you want to make. There may be a city that you want to explore. Maybe you feel like it's time to relocate. If there is anything that this pandemic has taught me, as well as I think a lot of people around the world, is that tomorrow is not promised and that every day can be different from the day before. So I challenge you all on this Taco Tuesday, Transformation Tuesday, to stop asking for permission. That is our Ray of Motivation moment for tonight. All right, so I am so excited about our special guest tonight. He is an author. He is a motivational speaker. He is a coach. He has been featured on game shows like Family Feud. And when you get to meet him and see energy, you will know exactly why he electrifies every mic that he is on. So help me welcome tonight Mr. Keith L. Brown, Mr. I'm Possible. How are you, Keith?
Hey, I'm empowered, not devoured. And first of all, let me say to you, because of all the great things that you're doing with Comedy Central, all of your new shows, GOODJOB, good job, good job. Yes, yes.
Oh, I love to hear you say that. Thank you. Not
Yes,
because it's me, but I just love hearing you say that. I've been on stage with you a couple of times and heard you say that
absolutely.
it's such a great little saying, and you have so many of them.
I do. I do. I always wake up every morning. I'm just thankful. I say, be empowered, not devoured. And you know what? I love when you just talked about don't ask permission, because I brought a friend with me tonight, and I just want all of your audience to see this is my friend Chris. And it's
Okay.
so, I know that you and I are aligned. I call you ascending, Angela. You are a ray of hope, a ray of sunshine. And this is my boy Chris, y'all. And Chris, all he does is walks around all day and he just smiles. That's all Chris does. He doesn't talk. All he does is smile. And in Chris's hand right here, you see a Christmas tree. So that's why we call
Mm,
him Chris, because it's a Christmas tree. And he has no idea where to plant this. He's carrying a gift, but he has no idea where to plant it. And many
mm,
of your viewers tonight, they're just walking around with a gift and they don't have any idea where to plant it. He even has the shovel and everything. The shovel, he's ready to plant, but he won't plant it. He won't plant it because guess what? He's allowed people to steal his voice. He's
mm.
allowed people to steal his voice. So not only is he not asking for permission to be great, he's just wandering around. Now, see, this is the key. Chris is a porcelain figure. He was created by man, so he can be silenced. You and I were created by God. So we don't walk around and just ask for permission, right? We don't
Right.
walk around with our hand raised to walk in our vision. So I love Chris, but guess what? When I'm going after my dreams, I'm not smiling. When I'm going after my vision and my purpose, I'm not smiling. When I'm chasing my destiny, I'm not smiling. It's time to get your mind on the grind. And that's why I'm glad I'm with the number one actress on the planet, the Angela Ray. You understand? So that's what I'm talking about. I'm not asking for permission. Yes.
I think I'm ready to go do an audition. He done told me I was the number one actress on the planet. Come on now.
And
Come
guess
on
what?
with it.
I've already named it, claimed it, and framed it. It's done. I've named it, I've claimed it, and I've framed it. And can I give a shout out to the Savannah State University tonight? Y'all see, I'm
I
representing.
see you. You representing tonight. You represent.
That's
Now,
right.
I,
HBCU love.
I wore red for you tonight, though. I wore red for you because
Shout out.
we got that Coleman love thing going on, so that's why I wore my red tonight.
Yes. DST and Omega Sci-Fi. Shout out to the bros. Shout out to the Sorors. You know I'm throwing the hooks up.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely.
Yes.
So, what have you been up to lately? I know that you are still empowering audiences. Now that we can no longer get on stages in person, I know
Absolutely.
that you have gone virtually. But besides that, what's on your calendar? What are you doing these days?
Well, you know what was deep is that 2 months ago, I was at the National Youth at Risk Conference. I was a featured speaker. And a couple of days later, the world was turned upside down. The world as we know it was turned upside down. So for the remainder of March through June, I lost all contracts. Okay. I lost all contracts because I couldn't travel. There,
Mm-hmm.
there was there was nothing on site. And so I had to do a mindset shift. I had to shift. And so I'm doing more virtual trainings, more virtual coachings. And so I'm in my office. My son, who works in the Georgia Senate, he's in his office working and training. My wife, who's a principal, she's downstairs. She's leading every day her teachers and parents and children. So the whole house is now just a virtual office. So on any given day, you might find me broadcasting in my office. And then I might go to Living Room Lane. And then I might go to Kitchen Avenue. Then I might go to Garage Boulevard. But I'm doing all of this virtual training and this coaching because guess what? Once again, I'm on the grind. All that which I lost, I'm going to recoup it. So I'm training and I'm doing more coaching and I'm helping individuals expand their impact, their influence, and their income. So let me tell you this, Angela. You know what's real? You know what's real? Um, Most people are focused on Netflix. I'm focused on my net worth. Boom.
I know that's right.
Yeah, yeah, you understand. And don't get me wrong.
I need
I
a
veg
t-shirt.
out of
I need that on a t-shirt. Like I need that
yes.
on a t-shirt.
That's yours. That's yours. Don't focus on Netflix. Focus on your net worth. So I'm working all day long, grinding until the nighttime. Then I may veg out on a couple of television shows with the family, release, relax, and restore. But I'm grinding harder. I've grinded harder in the last 2 months than I probably have in the last 2 years. Because guess what? The phone is not ringing anymore. I'm calling clients now. I'm calling those radio stations, Sirius and iHeartRadio. And you know, this is what we're doing because you're an entrepreneur as well. So you know
Yes.
we grind hard, and that's what I'm doing, grinding hard.
Awesome. Awesome. So, talk a little bit about how you got started as a speaker because, to see where you are now, to see how powerfully impactful you are, there were people in your early days, in your early education, who didn't think that that was your destiny. Talk a little bit about that.
Absolutely. Early on, I was labeled special ed. I was labeled at risk. I was labeled a potential menace to society for one reason and one reason only. I talk too much. And they said I talk too much, and now I get paid to talk. So I was very hyper. I was talkative. I wanted to give all the answers. I wanted to provide all the solutions. I didn't want anybody else to talk. And ironically, that's what gets me booked all over the world because I give answers and I give solutions, and I want to be that problem solver. And so early on, that was where I was. I would be in a class of 35, and they would come,
Hmm.
they would put me in a class of 5. And it was at that moment that I learned that I was small and black and different. And so today I'm passionate about helping those pupils and those scholars who've been labeled and mislabeled. And I let them know you're not dumb, you're not stupid, you are brilliant. You just learned at a different
Hmm.
level. And so even before I started speaking, I was an educator. So I'm a former educator as well. I taught high school, I taught on the college level. I worked with federal TRIO programs like Upward Bound and Talent Search. So I've always been a servant leader. And in 2000, I just stepped out on faith. I left one school and one classroom, and now I educate globally. So, like you, internationally known, nationally recognized, locally accepted.
I
Yes,
love it. I
yes,
love it. I love it. So now I know that you have been expanding your brand. I mentioned you being on Family Feud.
yes,
And I saw that and I saw how you had the whole family, doing your website. I was like, look at him. We done had the whole family drop his website on national television.
yes, yes. And Frat Steve Harvey let me do that, right? So,
Okay.
so yeah.
Okay.
So I was able to do that. So we've done Family Feud and Celebrity Name Game. I actually served as a client referral consultant with A&E's Beyond Scared Straight. So I've done a lot in radio, done a lot in television. And one thing that I always want to bring to the table is enthusiasm. Enthusiasm. I believe when you catch on fire with enthusiasm, it has been said people will come for miles to watch you burn. So you got to be enthused. And Angela, you carry that same spirit. I remember when you and I were in Wisconsin a couple of years ago at a Juneteenth celebration, one of the largest in the Midwest. And I remember you pumping them up on stage. We had like 10,000 people. And you were killing it with your spoken word, killing it with your theatrical skills. You were a thespian, a spoken word artist. I was emceeing, and we just connected for thousands of individuals. And we were on the same stage because we brought that enthusiasm and we believed in ourselves. And so that's why I tell my audiences worldwide, look, I love myself. You got to say, I love myself. I believe in myself. I'm proud of myself, and I'm a genius. I love myself. I believe in myself. I'm proud of myself, and I'm a genius.
You
So
done
it's that
made me bring out the snake.
enthusiasm.
I just went back to the snake. What is that? 1989? Like, what in the world? What was I doing?
Yes. I love it. I love it. Yeah. I love it.
Now, you also, in addition to just, being on the stage to motivate, you also actually have curriculum to train
Absolutely.
educators as well. Talk a little bit about that.
Absolutely. The curriculum is called Not Impossible. It's called I'm Possible. Not Impossible, I'm Possible. And the curriculum talks about college and career readiness. It focuses on leadership, focuses on life skills, high expectations, closing the ambition and the achievement gap. I mean, that's what I do. I help close the ambition and the achievement gap. I know in our educational systems today, we are so focused on closing the achievement gap, and that's fine, but we must close the ambition gap because once our pupils and our scholars have ambition, then they will want to learn. So that curriculum features a book. It also features a student portfolio and a facilitator's guide, and it's being studied in places like Sheffield, England, and the Ministry of Education in Barbados, and the Dutch Caribbean, and Canada. And so, very proud of that, as well as our latest book, which is called Talk is Expensive. Talk is Expensive. And that is, plug, right? Shameless
Bad
plug,
out,
right?
bad
Yes,
out.
talk is
There is
expensive.
nothing shameless
Yeah.
about that.
Okay. And that's communicating effectively to expand your impact, your influence, and your income. Communicating effectively to expand your impact, your influence, and your income. And that's what I use a lot for my trainings that I'm doing now, for my coaching and training.
Now it's interesting. You know, this was a perfect segue into our first question. I don't know if you can see that on the screen. Can you see that question?
Yes, it says, Mr. Brown and Miss Ray, both of you are trying to get a little closer here. Both of you are eloquent, articulate. What are the, I guess this says, steps of
Secret of
secrets? Okay,
speaking
what are the
in public.
secrets of public speaking? What are the secrets of public speaking? Well, I just believe there is no secret. I just want to say this: there is no secret. Number one, I talked about enthusiasm, and I believe enthusiasm is important because when you're enthused, then your audiences will remain engaged, and you always want to engage the people. So, in order for you to give them the tangible tools they deserve, you have to engage them so they will pay attention. And then number two, what is your story? What is your story, man of purpose? What is your story? Thank you for your question. But your story is something that you know, it's something that comes from the inside. And even if you're nervous, you can share your story. So I'm always enthused. I always share my story. And then number three, I provide solutions. I provide those solutions and those tangible tools to help people expand their impact, their influence, and their income. So you don't have to jump on tables like I do. You don't have to run around the audience like I do or do backflips, but you have to know what you have on the inside of you. You have to know what it is. So that's what I do. So I would say enthusiasm, be willing to share your story, be willing to share your story, and be willing to give those tangible tools that will help people go from impossible to I'm possible, as I like to say.
And you know, you and Edwin, thank you so much for being on tonight. Edwin has been such a faithful viewer, a live viewer for the Angela Ray Show. So thank you so much. He's a fellow Tar Heel. Shout
All
out to
right.
Tar Heel Nation,
Go
Tar
ahead,
Heel
North
Nation in the house.
Carolina.
You know, we've been getting a lot of shine lately with this The Last Dance documentary
Yes.
that's currently
Yes.
airing about Michael Jordan. So
Absolutely.
loving that. The only thing that I would add to that is I I think this comes, you know, when you have the enthusiasm, it's easy to have fun, but I would just say have fun. I remember years ago, I will never, I don't know what zone I was in, but I had a speaking engagement at a small high school in Red Springs, North Carolina, very small town. And I don't know why, but that day I was on one. And when I tell you I had every student in the
Yes.
audience was in stitches. And by
Yes.
the time I finished, I remember the principal coming up to me and was like, what do you do outside of this? And so, you know, we had this conversation, but I know that was because I was having a good time. And
Yes.
that is one of the things that I have to remind myself when I go out to speak. It doesn't matter whether or not, you know, I felt like I was running late. If I got to run in my hose, these are not the heels that I wanted to wear. You know, my hair fell flat. You know, as women, we have slightly different issues when we get up to present. I feel like than men do, because unfortunately, no matter what we do, the first thing people do is look at us and they judge us on our appearance. And I see it all the time. You know, I've gone into schools, I've gone into high schools, I've gone into colleges. And, you know, because I'm an actress, because those credits are oftentimes mentioned in my bio, before I get on stage, I see the young girls look at me like,
Yes.
I get that. And
Yeah.
so based on whatever I have on all of that, number one is, you know, am I stuck up? Do I think I'm this? Do I think I'm that? I read it all in their body language. But as long as I come to the table and I'm ready to have a good time and I engage with them, that has been the magic pill for me. And, you
Excellent.
know, I'm going to be honest, you know, 100 speaking engagements, there might be 3 that I don't have a great time. You
Yeah.
know, because the event organizer has moved me around to 2 or 3 different places because they didn't have the people show up where they said they were going to. So now they want me to move to somewhere else. And it's not the best place for me to speak. You know, I've spoken inside the lobby of a student union before. It's not ideal for a speaking engagement because they're not there for me to speak. So, and it's unfortunate for the students. It's not their fault. So, you know, I'm human. I'm not perfect. So there are a couple times, you know, I don't have as good a, you know, I'm not having a great time. But when I do, it makes all of the difference.
Yes. I love that. And you know, I would also add to Empowered Edwin, thank you so very much. That also you have to know what your toy is, Doc. you have to know what your toy is. If you ever took children to McDonald's, okay, they're hungry, and you get them that Happy Meal, and yeah, they enjoy the food, but what they really want is the toy. That's what they want. So what is your toy? See, my toy as a speaker is I always come out to music. I love to rap. I love to do spoken word. So as soon as I turn that music on, the kids go wild, or the teachers go wild, or the parents go wild. And I have everybody get up and go around and give high fives. And I warm the crowd up, because the first thing when I come on that stage, and let me say this, the podium is my enemy. The podium and I,
Yes.
yeah, we're never friends. Okay. So I don't go behind the podium, because that implies or indicates what? Boring speaker. And so whether it's Angela Ray or Keith L. Brown, Mr. I'm Possible, I crank that music up, and then I go with the good job chant. And then what I do is I have them to sit down, and now they're ready to be engaged. In other words, when we were children, we had to eat our meal before we ate our dessert. But as a speaker, I give them the dessert first. And when I give them the dessert, now they're ready to receive the meal. And so that's what you have to do. You have to find out your toy. And when I'm coaching and I'm training individuals, like I've been doing virtually every day for the last 2 months, those are the traits. Those are the secrets that I give them to being, one of the top speakers on the planet, like an Angela Ray and like myself. So thank you for that question.
Yeah, definitely a good question. Wow. And for those of you who are just tuning in, this is Mr. Keith L. Brown, Mr. I'm Possible, speaker, author, coach. One of the things that he was talking about was you don't have to do like me. You don't have to stand on top of a desk or a table. He wasn't exaggerating. I just want to let you all know, if you want to go to his Instagram or to his website, you will see footage of him standing on tables, standing on chairs, really engaged, really giving it his all when he is speaking to an audience.
Absolutely.
So what's next for you, Keith? I feel that you may be doing a little bit more, maybe not at this very moment, but a little bit more in entertainment.
Oh,
What
I
are your
love
thoughts on
that.
that?
Oh, listen, I name it, claim it, and frame that as well. I want to give a shout out to the IPY agency. That's my publicist, right? The IPY agency. And I've been positioned to do more coaching and training in the entertainment industry, doing red carpet events. And so right now, yes, I am positioning myself to do more in the entertainment industry. Listen, I'm even open to reality television. I know people don't, they have a lot to say about reality TV, but if you see me on reality television, it's going to be that I'm giving those tools. I'm serving as a mentor, serving as a life coach. I'm doing those things. So I'm open to anything that's going to expand the brand while I can be shown in a positive light. So even when there's darkness, I'm going to bring light, Angela, even when there's darkness. So absolutely, absolutely. You're absolutely right that I am diversifying even more. So we're in colleges now, and schools, and family advocacy agencies and government agencies. I'm a director of external affairs in the Georgia Senate. And so I do that too. I do a lot of legislative speech writing, but definitely branching out more into the entertainment industry. That is the plan. But for right now, it's all about that virtual coaching and training. That's what I'm doing. There's so many people who are not going back when this pandemic is over. This is real.
Right.
They're not going back to that career site. They're not going back to that position. A lot of them have that entrepreneurial spirit on the inside. And so I'm helping them to discover their why. And then I'm showing them how to do it. I'm helping them to discover their why. And then I'm laying out the path of how to do it. And you know what's interesting? I'm showing them how to turn social media into business media. Because at the end of the day, you and I are both on social media, but it's business to us. It's about
Right.
connecting with our communities. And so I'm showing individuals right now how to expand their impact, influence, and income using social media. The gifts that we have on the inside, it's powerful. And if it's one thing that this pandemic has done for me over the last 2 months, it has caused me to tap into more gifts, because guess what? Like you, I was doing a lot of traveling. So I didn't have time, right? I didn't have time to do this and that. Guess what? I got more time now. And so I'm tapping into all of those gifts as a coach, as a trainer, and I'm encouraging all of you to do the same.
So Keith, Edwin has a follow-up to that, to his question about, he said he always assumed the podium had the power. And it's one of those, most of the time I try to have that conversation well before I get to a speaking engagement, that I prefer a handheld. After a
Thank you.
handheld, I'll take the lapel. After the
Yes.
lapel or the headset, then I'll take, the corded mic. Every now and then, though, no matter what I've asked for, no matter how early I get there, I'm in a place where not only is there a podium, but it's an old fashioned microphone that's cemented to that
Yes.
podium. It's
Yes.
not moving. I'd be curious to know, how do you handle that? Because sometimes I'm like, oh my gosh, these people got me behind a podium. I don't know what to do back here.
Well, first of all, let me say, Empowered Edwin, you need to have a coaching session with me. You need to have a one-on-one session with me as soon as possible, Doc, because basically that's the first thing I do. I request that cordless handheld microphone. But ironically, I travel with my own tech team. I travel for the last
Uh,
for the last 15 years. I've traveled with my own team because I do realize some of those gymnasiums where I speak, those sound systems were built for basketball games. They were not built for speakers.
yeah,
And so
yeah.
I have my own tech crew, and then I know it's going to be done right. I
Hmm.
ask them to remove the podium before I even get there. And so I have that on my event riders. So they know those requirements. So guess what? That podium is not even there. The only time I will stand behind a podium is if I'm giving out an award or if I'm giving out books. But when that's over, I engage that audience, especially Edwin, if you're talking to young people of excellence, young people of purpose, especially if you're doing that. I leave that stage and I go out in the audience and I walk up and down the aisle, as Angela said, with that cordless handheld microphone, because at the end of the day, I'm a surgeon on the mic. And the microphone is my scalpel. And I know that I have to perform surgery on hearts, minds, and souls, but I can't do that if they're not paying attention. And they won't be paying attention if you're standing behind that podium. I'm telling you, that podium is just like, you know what it's like? It's like Pavlov with the little dog. If you know how it is, right? The classical conditioning.
Classical conditioning.
Right, y'all UNC graduates, y'all know what time it is. That classical conditioning. You bring a dog in a room, and the bowl can be empty, but that dog is going to salivate because the dog associates the bowl with what? With food and with water. It's the same thing with an audience. They identify the podium as you being a boring speaker. So after doing this for 2 decades, I understand that podium doesn't give me the power. That podium causes my audience to have pessimism. And so I have to move that out the way early on.
Okay, so you've traveled with your own tech crew now, but prior to traveling with your own tech crew,
Oh, yeah.
I'll share mine,
Oh,
but
yeah. Go ahead.
later. But I want you to tell me your most unusual, bizarre, craziest microphone experience.
Oh, God, yes. Yes. I can tell you. And I've had many of them, but I actually went to a school. I'm not even going to say the city because Angela, you and Edwin might be from there. So I'm not even going to say the city. But I got there and they told me, the sound system is amazing, Mr. Brown. We just bought a world-class sound system. And when I got in the gymnasium, the students were, or the scholars were on both sides, and they rolled
Mm.
out a karaoke machine, y'all. It was listen, when I tell, it was a karaoke machine, and it was one of those mics that you find. You remember the little rock bands? It's like, what is that game that they play now
It might be called Rock Band.
yeah,
Rock
it might
Band.
be Rock Band, right? And I had
Yeah.
you know how awful that microphone is? They had like a Rock Band microphone. Can you imagine 2,000 kids on both sides of the gym? And so I just had to throw the mic down and I'm running to the left, then I'm running to the right, running to the left, running to the right. This happened in the year 2001. And it was at that moment, I knew I had to get my own tech team, which I did a few years later. But the key was, even more important than that microphone is the seating arrangement. So I'm going to say this,
Oh
all of
yeah.
you out there, if you're in a gym, then when I'm in a gym now, they have to be on one side of the gymnasium. And the administration is going to say, well, they can't fit on one side. And so you know what I have them to do? I have them to place 200 chairs right in front of that one side, because you teach face to face. So I'm not going from side to side anymore. So you have to set the tone for how the seating is going to go, because it's more conducive to learning. And at the end of the day, after that horrible experience, I lost my voice. And so I might have lost a couple of engagements. So I said, no more, no more. I got my own microphone. I tell them how it's going to be set up, and then I go from there, because they're not the professional speaker. I am.
Okay, so I can do you one better than that.
Please
I
do.
went to a school, and I remember the city. It was in
Yes.
my home state. That's all I'm gonna say. It was in my home state of North Carolina. I was in a gym as well, and it wasn't a karaoke mic. I have never seen this before, but it was a bag mic. Okay, so literally, I had a microphone in my hand.
Yes.
It was attached to a bag that I had to carry on my shoulder. So that meant when I moved, the sound source moved.
Mm.
Now, granted, students were only on one side of the gym, which was great. But between that one, I don't know. I don't know. That one was no, that one was not the worst. That one was crazy.
Mm.
I was up in Virginia.
Mm.
It's probably like 2004, maybe 2005. And the microphone was horrible. It was kind of like Charlie Brown's teacher. And I'm not exaggerating. And
Yes.
it was an auditorium that went up. So when you have an auditorium that's level, sometimes, especially, as a classically trained theater actress, I might be able to do that. But the way that auditorium was, I was like, I'm not going to strain my voice
Mm.
because y'all have a really horrible microphone. And so the principal looked at me and he smiled. He said, I'll help you out. And he handed me his bullhorn. His
Wow.
bullhorn.
Wow. Mm.
And I apologized to the students in the first 4 rows. And I did a 45-minute presentation on a bullhorn.
Wow.
Never again.
Never.
Never again.
Mm.
Never again. So it's unfortunate that every high school and even colleges, but definitely not every high school has the same resources. That's one of the things that I learned speaking in high schools. It's not even just about the mic systems, whether they're in a gym, an auditorium. Sometimes you're speaking in a cafeteria. It's not even that. When I learned that they didn't have the same resources was when my contact started inviting me to stay for lunch. And I
Yes.
saw the kind of food that the students had to eat at different schools.
Yes.
There were
Yes.
some schools that had bona fide chefs, and the meal was amazing. And then there were other schools that I spoke at, and I really felt sorry for the kids that they had to eat like that every single day.
And
That's when
that,
you see disparities.
yes, that's why I fight for educational and social justice. That's why I fight for educational equity. When I go into school, and I'm a huge athletic fan, as you are. I'm a huge athletic fan. I love sports. But the first question I have when I go in the gym and I see all of the championship banners that the school has won, I said, where are the academic banners? Where are the
Mm,
academic banners? Because that's all about equity. And many times you will see that in schools that have primarily children and youth of color. And my problem with that is I need our young people to understand that just because you don't get an athletic scholarship, you can still go to a college or university. And many times we have such low expectations of children of color and young people of color, okay, in communities that are underserved. And they've been programmed to believe, well, the only way you can go to school is if you play sports. Okay. But there's some actresses out there in the fine arts like you, Angela Ray, and they can get scholarships. There are some
yeah.
orators and some speakers like a Keith L. Brown. They can get scholarships. There are those who have just academic excellence and they can get scholarships. So every day, even from the political standpoint, from my activism, I'm always fighting for educational equity. I'm always fighting for access and exposure because I believe that regardless of a child's race, creed, or socioeconomic background, if that child has access and exposure, that child can
Hmm.
compete nationally and globally. And so that is a charge that I have as a speaker as well. That's a charge I have to promote equity, educational and social justice. I'm one who stood in Mike Brown's blood, okay? I tell that, in Mike Brown's blood, August 9th, 2014, I was delivering a convocation to about 5,000 teachers in the Kansas City, Missouri schools. And then the next day I was in Ferguson, Missouri, So
Wow.
I was in Sanford consulting when Trayvon Martin was murdered. Okay, I'm a consultant in Cleveland Municipal School District where Tamir Rice was murdered. All right, I'm a consultant in Duval County Schools in Jacksonville. All right, where Jordan Russell Davis was murdered. I'm in Chicago Public Schools where Laquan McDonald was murdered, and I've spoken at Brunswick High School where Ahmaud Arbery went to school. And so this is the reality of why I have to pursue my purpose, why I have to make sure that our young people are prospects, not suspects, why I don't just go in and deliver a speech. I go in and I deliver hope. And you know, when they say, well, how much do you charge? How much do you charge per hour? No, I don't get paid by the hour. I get paid by the value I bring to the hour. Because when I'm done, those scholars know that they will never be property of the state, but they can own property in the state. And now many of them who are first generation college students, they believe I can go to school. But they believe that they not only can go, but they can graduate. And so that's what it's all about. At the end of the day, it's all about saving lives. It's all about building legacy. You do that, Angela Ray. I do that. Edwin does that. And I train people around the world to do the same.
All right. So if you have any additional questions for Keith, make sure you go ahead and hit me up in the comments so we can get your question answered. Keith,
Yeah.
aside from the changes in work, shifting from, being on stages to training and coaching and even speaking virtually.
Yes.
What else have you been doing during this pandemic? What's been your go-to comfort food?
Oh man. Real talk. Real talk. Man, look, them fish tacos from Taco Mac be slamming. Look, hey, the fish tacos be slamming. Now we've been doing a lot of cooking too. We've been doing a lot of creative meals. I'm talking about baked tilapia and egg tacos. I'm talking that, man, it's so delicious. I'm talking, that's it. I've fallen in love with Haribo sour snakes because I'm trying to cut back from the sweets, but I got these sour snakes, y'all, that I'm now.
Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about. I know what you're talking about.
Oh yeah, I'm addicted to those snakes. And guess what else I'm doing though? I'm doing more aerobics with my girl Leslie Sansone. I've never done so much. Look, I haven't done aerobics like this since I was hanging out with my boy Richard Simmons. I've been doing my aerobics. And guess what? I gotta admit this. We've watched about 6 seasons of Desperate Housewives. I wouldn't watch Desperate Housewives back in the day, but listen, I'm loving Desperate Housewives, All American. So the things that I wouldn't normally do, Angela Ray, I've been doing it. And I've been watching you. I've been watching you on TV as well. I've been watching you from back in the day. Love Thy Neighbor. Look, I saw you on Queen Sugar because we got that episode tape. So yeah, I saw you on Queen Sugar, sister. I know it. So I've been doing it all, man. We haven't just been working. We've been keeping our minds right too, in terms of making time to release, relax, and restore. And in this pandemic, you got to do that. Release, relax, and restore every day.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. We got another question for you, Edwin. Can you see that question?
You know what? Let me tell you this. Let me get a little closer here because it's real small. It says, do you ever think our country will ever value Black lives like our white counterparts? Oh, that's honestly, I'm hopeful. And the reason I'm hopeful is because I serve pupils and scholars and students of all races all across the country. But the short answer is no. No, I don't. I just don't think first of all, the foundation of our country is not to value people of color and African Americans. So I don't see that. And I think it's sad. I really do. I think it's sad because, I love them all. But then, when you see an Ahmaud Arbery just jogging, and that just wouldn't have happened if it were one of my white male scholars. There would have been no questions. And the fact that it took over 2 months for an arrest to be made, and we do know if it were reversed and the shoe was on the other foot, he would have been arrested that same night. So no, and that's why we have to begin to value ourselves more as African Americans. And that's why we don't have time to hate on each other. That's why we don't have time to criticize each other or to say that an Angela Ray thinks she's all that. We should celebrate her for her work in theater, for her work on television, for her activism, for her advocacy. No, Keith L. Brown doesn't talk white because he's articulate. I'm just articulate. And it's so funny, we still have this slave mentality where you talk like white people. No, so if talking white means I'm intelligent, what does it mean to talk Black? And so what we have to do is we have to start practicing more love, and have high expectations within our own communities. We have to start labeling our children not as what they want to be, but we have to label them as they are. So you don't want to be a doctor, you are a doctor. My son, he doesn't want to be an attorney. We call him Attorney Keon J. Brown. We call him Attorney Brown. Once again, name it, claim it, and frame it. So I would say not only does America not value us like it does our white counterparts, we don't value each other. We don't value each other, and we have to start valuing each other. So that if Angela Ray, who's a white female, goes into the industry, and we should not expect her to give us the hookup. No, we have the resources. We can be the hookup. Stop asking for the hookup and be the hookup. When I go into a school or an agency, or a government office, and the person who's hiring me looks like me, and they expect that I'm going to give a discount. What does that say about my worth? What does that say about what you think about my worth? But if my white counterpart came in, you would write a bonus check because you just believe he or she deserves it. And so, Edwin, what we have to do in our own communities, we have to start valuing each other. We have to start believing that we are worth it. We have to celebrate each other. And at the end of the day, that's when I believe America will shift a little bit. But I don't expect America to love me. I don't expect America to value me. It starts on the inside. I have to value myself. I have to love myself. And then I'll teach people how to love me. So I'm going to be classified and qualified. So I know that was a long answer, Angela, but man, that's a whole nother show. That's a whole nother show. But
You're right. That's a whole, that's almost like a special. Maybe we do a town hall
and you
special
can do
on the
that.
Angela Ray show.
You look, you should do that. You should do that. Yeah.
Edwin just said, all right, Pastor Brown. It's funny. I saw you a couple months ago, and you just got in because it's now canceled on Sister Circle. And I saw my Sora Quad talking to you as you would come out with your enthusiasm as you always do. She said, it sounded like you got something else in your heart. She was making that reference then when you were on Sister Circle. Yeah.
Yes. And I love that. And they're canceling the show.
I know. That's why I said you got in.
I hate
you got in.
I hate that, because I thought it was a great show, but guess what? Those sisters are still rising. And this is the thing. Yeah. And like Angela started off the show by saying, don't ask for permission. See, you can't cancel Keith L. Brown. You can't cancel me because I'm possible. You can't cancel Angela Ray. No, you can't cancel me. You might pause my progress, but you can't cancel my commitment to excellence. Nobody can cancel your destiny. Nobody can cancel your purpose. But I will say this to all the viewers out there. You can have all the motivation. You can have all the inspiration. You can have all the information, the transformation, and the elevation. But if you don't have implementation, you still won't reach your goals. See, you can have all the motivation, inspiration, education, elevation, restoration, transformation. You can have all of those mations, but if you don't have implementation, okay? So that's what I teach people to do, how to implement, because if you can implement, then that's when you will reach your goals, your destiny, and live the life that you deserve.
Yeah. I've heard people say, that there's a saying that knowledge is power, but knowledge is not power if you don't do anything with it, which is exactly what you're saying. That's exactly what you're saying. Yeah.
Say that again. Can you say it again, please?
Knowledge is power, but knowledge without action doesn't take you anywhere.
Wow. That's wow. See, that's one of those wow moments. I always say wow stands for woman of worth, woman of wealth, woman of wisdom, and woman of work. That's what you are. And all the women who are viewing tonight, you all are wows, women of worth, wisdom, wealth. Stop putting yourselves down. As a matter of fact, Angela, before we go tonight, I do want to encourage all of your viewers to look in a mirror tonight. And when you look in the mirror, I want you to say your name. And then I want you to say, I can't wait for you to meet the person you're about to become. So you look in the mirror and then you say, whatever your name is, Keith, I can't wait for you to meet the person you're about to become. And that means you're ever growing and ever evolving, but you have to have that conversation with yourself.
Angela Ray, I can't wait for you to become. Wait a minute, I done messed it up already. Hold up, repeat that. Now, come on now.
I can't wait for you to meet the person you're about to become.
Okay, all right. Okay, we're going to back that up. Rewind, hit play.
Yes.
Angela Ray, I can't wait for you to meet the person that you are about to become.
Yeah.
That's it. That's it right there. That's it right there.
J-O-B. Good job. Good job. That's what it is. Yes.
Awesome.
Yes.
So, Keith, this has been wonderful. This time that we've
We have to
had
go.
together.
Oh,
w- w-
oh,
Well, the thing is, I didn't want to take up all your time. I know that it is about that dinner time. I don't know if you about to have those tilapia tacos or, you about to throw some wings on the grill. The bros like the grill. So I don't know what you got.
don't make me. Hey, don't make me sit. Look. I'm sitting down, but I'm stepping right now. I'm setting out a hop, and you know Michael Jordan's a Q, right? So I know.
I do know
I know
that.
North Carolina. I stepped on the plot at UNC. Don't make me throw up the hooks because I can do that too. I can do that. Don't make me throw up the
I,
hooks.
I
Yes.
know you can. I know you can. But if I'm going to see if there are any final questions for
Okay.
Keith. I'm going to shout out the stores that I see on the broadcast tonight. But two of my chapter stores, Ebony Browning, I believe. I think I saw Ebony on here early, and she's a graduate of Savannah State, I do believe.
Yes, yes. The Ebony J. Yes, that's one of my
Ebony,
mentees.
yeah.
She's amazing. Works with the Atlanta Falcons, the Atlanta Hawks. I'm saying, listen, you want some virtual motivation? Ebony J is amazing. Hey, go. Yeah,
Oh,
she's
yeah.
amazing. She's amazing. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've worked together actually in our chapter. She's hosted some red carpets for some of the programs that I've been working on. So yeah, she's
Excellent.
definitely amazing. And then the singing songbird Sora from my chapter, Michelle Coleman, is also on the
Okay.
broadcast tonight as well. Oh yeah, we got that talent
Oh,
like that. We got that
songbird.
talent.
Yes.
Yeah, we
Not
got
only
that talent.
talented, y'all gifted because you share it. You know, everybody is talented, but you are really gifted when you share your talent. So you are gifted. Yeah, yeah. I love this. I love you. I love you, sister. I'm telling you, we could do this all night long. I do want to encourage people to, if I may say this, follow me on the Instagram, you know, Keith L. Brown _ on Instagram. If you desire some coaching and some training and some real coaching and training, then please shoot me a DM on Facebook, Keith L. Brown, Mr. Impossible. Direct message me on Instagram. My website is keithlbrown.com. But this is your moment and this is your time. During the pandemic where you didn't have time before, you have time now. So what do you have to do? You have to create during the chaos. You have to, that's what Angela Ray has been doing, man. You have to create during the chaos. This is what we do. This is who we are. You have to create during the chaos. This is your moment. This is your time. Like she said, don't ask for permission to pursue your purpose. I would love to coach you, train you. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and I know that it's really small because you're probably on your phone, but we've had your Instagram and your website scrolling on the bottom of the screen almost the entire
Wow.
broadcast.
Oh, you know,
Yeah, I
I should
got
have
you.
known.
I got you.
I should listen. I should have known. That's because that's who you are. I should have known. So thank you, my superfluous sister. Thank you. And can I shout out Savannah State University again and
Absolutely.
all
Absolutely.
HBCUs and Georgia Southern University where I went to grad school. So HBCUs, PWIs. I just want to shout out higher education. And I want to thank the teachers again. I know last week was Teacher Appreciation Week, but I thank the teachers again. And Angela Ray, before we go, I got to plug my new television show. I have 24 episodes in on Facebook Live on
Okay.
Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays at 10 a.m. on Keith L. Brown, Mr. Impossible. Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And the show is called School is Out, but Learning is In. Boom!
All
School
right
is
now.
out, but learning is in.
And that is on your Facebook page?
Yes, Facebook. It's Keith L. Brown, Mr. Impossible. That's my fan page. That's my fan page.
Okay.
Yes.
Awesome. You got a lot going on.
And you do
Virtual
too.
coaching and speaking. Well, that's what we do. We're creators and
Yes.
we don't know anything else. That's all we can do.
Yes. 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 We only eat what we kill.
Listen, unless we roll up on the road and find something on the side. Let me stop. That was the country in me. I'm sorry.
Yes,
That's what we do.
that's all right.
That was the country in me coming out.
Yes. Yes.
Well, thank you so much, Keith, for taking time out of your busy schedule to speak with us tonight, to share, to inspire, to impact. I really appreciate it. I don't see any more questions coming in, but definitely connect with Keith on his Instagram page. As well as his website. Make sure you check out his show Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays on
Monday,
his
Tuesday,
Facebook
and Thursday. Yeah,
Monday,
Monday,
Tuesdays, and
Tuesday.
Thursdays. Okay.
Yeah. Hmm.
Monday, Tuesdays, and Thursdays. And so is it live or are you uploading on those
Oh
days?
no, it is live. It's
It is
live.
live.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Come on, about 10:03, 10 a.m. Everybody's waiting. So about 10:03, it's really a family friendly show, but we keep it 100, and we have
Okay.
touched over 20,000 people in the last 2 months who've just been tuning into the show, and that's what it's about now. People deserve hope, inspiration, and empowerment, and that's what we're giving them. We're giving them the light every day, and I want to thank you once again, Angela, just for being a ray of hope and a ray of sunshine, pun intended, ray of hope and a ray of sunshine, my superfluous sister. Yes,
Well, thank you so much, Keith, for hanging out with us tonight. And I look forward to us catching up again, if not on this show, on somebody's stage, on
yeah,
somebody's set, on some game show, but we'll definitely be connecting again soon.
absolutely.
Have a good night.
Thank you so much. Be empowered, not devoured. All right.
Thank you.
Take care.
All right, that is Mr. Keith L. Brown, Mr. Possible. Just so much energy. I feel like I've just been absorbing it throughout the broadcast. Definitely appreciate him taking time out of his busy schedule. You heard all of the things that he has been doing, so you know he has a very busy schedule. But that is it for us tonight on this round of the Angela Ray Show. As always, I would like to remind you of Ray of Motivation number 54. Cleaning a mirror will not change the person who is reflected in it. Until next time, I encourage each and every one of you to be the change.